News breaks with the same speed.
Sometimes you find the news, and sometimes the news finds you.
All stations can keep up. At Adaba FM, we'll not only give you news at the speed of nanosecond, but we'll also break it down with up-to-date analysis, informed opinions, and distinct professionalism. That's why you love us. Adaba 88.9 FM, your go-to station.
It's midday. Good afternoon. I'm Olajumoke on Watershed with Global News and the News. Federal government to bring home Nigeria evacuees from Egypt. Islamist militant kills soldier in Burkina Faso. Russia airstrikes cause casualties in Ukraine.
This is the news.
The federal government says the Nigerian Air Force (NAF) has commenced the airlifting of Nigerian evacuees from Egypt. The evacuation comes amid the crisis rocking Sudan. Director overseeing the Office of the Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Ambassador Janet Olisa, said the Nigerian Air Force, Air Peace and other airlines have received clearance to fly to Egypt. She noted that the NAF C-130H is scheduled to leave Abuja to commence the airlifting of the evacuees today. Olisa said arrangements are being concluded to airlift all Nigerians that have already escaped on their own to safety in other countries neighboring Sudan. Meanwhile, rival factions of Sudan's military have agreed to renew a 3-day ceasefire immediately, the deal which expired midnight on Thursday. The extension for another 72 hours follows intensive diplomatic effort by neighboring countries as well as the US, UK, and UN. But there are continuing reports of heavy fighting in the capital, Khartoum. The previous truce allowed thousands of people to flee for safety, while dozens of countries have tried to evacuate their citizens. Almost 2 weeks of fighting between the army and a rival paramilitary group have left hundreds dead. However, South Sudan has offered to host peace talks, and the army has agreed to send representatives to the talks. In the meantime, the Sudanese Foreign Ministry says it had filed a complaint about the World Health Organization regarding the occupation of hospitals by the paramilitary Rapid Support Forces, RSF. The military said RSF had occupied 12 hospitals in the capital, Khartoum. It noted that the forces act in a gross violation of international humanitarian law, rules of engagement, and international human rights law that protects the sanctity of these facilities. The army accuses RSF fighters of using residential areas and healthcare facilities as hiding place and using civilians as human shields. The RSF has not responded to the allegations, but has earlier accused the Air Force of indiscriminately bombing hospitals and residential areas. At least 512 people have been killed so far and 4,193 injured in the continued fighting between RSF and the army since 15 April. Suspected Islamist militants have killed 33 soldiers in northeast Burkina Faso during an attack on a military post. In a statement, the army says the attack is the second of such attack in just over a week in which dozens of soldiers have been reportedly killed. The military-led government in the capital, Ouagadougou, spoke for the first time about last week's killing of over 100 civilians by what local officials described as men in military uniform. The government has not said whether the attack on the northwestern village of Kama was carried out by the military, but it called a full investigation. You're on to Global News from Adaba 88.9 FM Akure, transmitting from Milaramoki. After the break, Russia airstrike caused casualties in Ukraine. Please join us again.
The news on Adaba 88.9 88.9 FM.
Glad to have you back for news updates and live streaming. Visit our website to www.adaba889.fm or download Adaba FM app on Google Play Store. You can be part of us on our social media platforms www.facebook.com/AdabaFM 889 on Facebook, at Adaba 889FM on TV, on YouTube. To provide us information, you can reach us via email newsroom@adaba889.fm. Now to rest of the bulletin. Pope Francis has arrived Hungary for a 3-day pastoral visit. The visit is his first full trip to the country since he became Pope 10 years ago. Report has it that the Pope was kept away because of the tough anti-migrant stance of Prime Minister Viktor Orban, in contrast to the 86-year-old Pontiff's compassion for all refugees. Pope Francis is expected to meet Mr. Orban and Hungarian President Katalin Novak, the architect of the country's attempt to encourage couples to have more children. The Pope will meet poor and homeless people and refugees from Ukraine, Afghanistan, Sudan, Iran, Iraq, and Pakistan on Saturday. The United States has announced plans to open new migrant processing centers in Colombia and Guatemala as part of effort to reduce undocumented immigration. The processing centers will allow successful applicants to enter the U.S. legally and improve their access to assistance such as refugee resettlement processing and family reunification. Report says those who try to reach America illegally by sea will now also not be eligible for parole, allowing them to temporarily live and work in the U.S. The latest measures come weeks before the planned lifting of Title 42, which was introduced during the Trump administration and gave immigration agents the right to immediately deport undocumented migrants before they could register as asylum seekers. Russian airstrikes have hit cities across Ukraine, including the capital Kiev, killing at least 12 people. Officials say 10 people died in the central city of Oman after missiles hit residential buildings. Report has it that there were also explosions in the cities of Krymchuk and Poltava. The head of the Kiev City Military Administration said it was the first Russian military attack on the capital in 51 days. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said 10 residential buildings were damaged in Oman and said the attack showed further international action needed to be taken against Russia. And on sport, former Super Eagles forward Jonathan Akpobire has won the Flying Eagles coach Ledon Bozo to invite players based on merit ahead of the 2023 FIFA Under-20 World Cup. Recall that Nigeria has been pitted alongside Brazil, Italy, and Dominican Republic in Group D. The former Wolfsburg striker stated that Bozo's invitation of players must be devoid of sentiment. He also believed that the Flying Eagles have the capability to hold their own against some of the big teams at the tournament. To end Global News, a recap of the top stories. The federal government says the Nigerian Air Force NAF has commenced the airlifting of Nigerian evacuees from Egypt. Suspected Islamist militants have killed 3 soldiers in northeast Burkina Faso during an attack on a military post. Our told that Russian airstrikes have hit cities across Ukraine, including the capital Kiev, killing at least 12 people. That's Global News as edited by Olainka Ojo. I'm Olajumoke Omotosho saying good afternoon and thanks for listening.